Sony has been planning a PS5 revision that will allegedly be ditching the PS5's liquid metal cooling solution. Why they're doing this, that you may ask? Well, basically, that liquid metal cooling solution has been prone to failure, according to many cases from user report and from the engineering point of view, it has been failing. And probably they're changing that mechanism, probably. Or they're going to be using the traditional cooling system. We don't know because we haven't heard anything about that. But they are planning to make a different sort of PlayStation 5 that will be the new mainstream console, basically. And probably that is called the PS5 Slim. That is probably the case here. Now, recently, this image has surfaced in the internet, and as you can see, it says that here's the first look at the PlayStation 5 quote-unquote Slim. And as you can tell, it's looking pretty slim, though I wouldn't really say it's quite slim because it looks identical to the current version of that, which is expected because they're going to be changing the current version of the PlayStation 5 to this Slim in particular. So I wonder how much difference will it have. We also got this video here from BWE, that's the at VWE Dev, and he's basically the PS5 software developer and reverse engineer. And let's look into the video first. As you can see, this is the PS5 Slim. Allegedly, this is the PS5 Slim. And it's looking like it has that particular, well, it looks literally the same and also looks lighter, in my opinion. A bit slimmer, that is for sure. And one more thing that we have to notice is that it also comes with that disc. Now, the question is, what's the difference? Well, it turns out that disc you just saw is basically a detachable disc, meaning that you can detach or include it anytime you want to based on what your preferences is. Like if you're using a digital version of your game or if you're using a hard copy of the game, basically the DVD. And that's probably the reason why they're calling it Slim, because according to many sources here, the specs of the PlayStation 5 Slim will be similar to what we have now. As I said, that they're going to be ditching the PlayStation traditional for PlayStation 5 and will be mainstreaming this PlayStation 5 Slim. Basically, you could say this is the newer PlayStation 5, a revision, technically speaking. It is nothing new, nothing different. Just one thing that is different is that you can detach or include the disk drive anytime you want to based on your preferences. And that is probably the reason why it's called Slim. I don't know, that probably is the case. But we also have one more information. According to BWE, the same guy, of course, he states that I would say it's about 5 centimeters or so shorter, not much thinner. So basically, it is thinner, but not technically thinner. It's shorter, 5 centimeters. Not a huge margin we're looking at here, but a small margin. And also, he says that it's gonna be coming with a weird curve in the middle with smaller vents. So the vents are smaller, and it has a curve, which he implies is weird. We don't know for sure. He also says that the BD drive is less curved, so it looks weird. So everything is weird, it seems like. It also includes that it has 2 ugly black slits on each side of the case, dual USB-C on the front. That is a newer addition, a newer dual USB-C on the front I/O. So basically a different I/O we're going to be looking at, and whatever comments that he made. But yeah, as he says, boring ASF. So basically, it does seem like that PlayStation 5 Slim is nothing but a revision of the previous traditional one, I should say, because it really isn't traditional because it's the existing PlayStation 5. You can't really say traditional, but the existing one will be different from the PlayStation 5 Slim. Basically speaking, PlayStation 5 Slim will be the new mainstream, and they will not be making any more PlayStation 5 traditional, if you want to put that way. So if you look into the specs here, basically, if you already know, PlayStation 5 CPU is based on the AMD Ryzen Zen 2 architecture, coming with 8 cores and 16 threads, and the frequency is 3.5 of that. And the GPU was basically the AMD RDNA 2 architecture, but coming with 36 compute units. And it has also the 2.23 gigahertz of frequency, basically the clock speed, and yep, ray acceleration is also included. 16 gigs of VRAM, and the bandwidth we're looking at is 448 gigabytes per second. And as for storage, the default one is the 825 gigabytes NVMe SSD, which is again their own NVMe SSD, which is probably the fastest SSD ever existed. But you can also expand it with certain rated SSDs. We already know what those are. If you don't, these are the SSDs that you're looking at here on the screen that will be supporting PlayStation 5 in general. As for the optical drive, it's an Ultra HD Blu-ray drive, basically 4K UHD playback support. So yeah, if you are planning to use the optical drive, then for the Slim, you can add that into it. But if you're not, if you have a digital copy of that, you can just detach it anytime you want. And that's really interesting that they're doing in that approach. So in general, the whole difference of PlayStation 5 Slim compared to the traditional PlayStation 5 is nothing but that detachable disk drive. It's that simple. Basically, this is nothing new. This is basically Sony's plan of, revisioning the PlayStation 5. I guess that is could be the more reasonable case here. But also that is interesting that they're adding this feature, which is the removable disk drive, that you can anytime add it or want to. But there also has one caveat that I want to discuss. Some other sources are telling that detachable disk drive won't be coming with the PlayStation Slim. Basically meaning that detachable disk drive might be an extra cost if you want to buy it. Basically speaking, they're gonna be asking for more money. Probably it will be the case that if it's a feature, you have to buy it with extra money. That is kind of, I wouldn't say a feature, like a paid feature, you could say that, but it is kind of not that exciting, because basically what I'm saying is that Sony might be planning to sell the PlayStation 5 Slim that comes with just the console with no disk drive, and you have to buy the disk drive for extra money, of course, and then you might be able to use your Blu-ray disc for gaming and stuff like that. Yes. So I believe that would be the case here. That's in terms of like marketing point of view, that gives you extra money, but the practice, I wouldn't say it's good. It's a good practice. It's not really that great. Even though you could buy the PlayStation 5 with the disc drive for extra money, obviously, I don't really blame PlayStation for doing this, but technically speaking, in a way, it's good that if you're not planning to play games on disc drive rather than on the digital copy, then it's good for people who are only planning for digital copy rather than the disc copy or the disc drive. Then it's kind of is good because you don't have to pay anymore for the extra one. Because if you're in your area, the PlayStation 5 non-disc drive model isn't available, you have no other choice but to buy the full version of the PlayStation 5 that comes with the disc drive. But in this case, they will be selling only the PlayStation 5 Slim, meaning that it will be just the console without the disc drive. Then in a way, it's kind of is appealing to certain people that doesn't want the disc drive but only the console itself. So in a way, it is kind of like consumer friendly, but also they're going to be charging you extra money for the disc drive, which is also fair because they do it already. So I don't see the problem in this. But other than that, it's really a boring thing. The PlayStation 5 Slim, it is slimmer, or shorter I should say, and it doesn't come with a disc drive. You have to buy it separately, probably. Not sure, that would be the case, and you can detach it. So that's it.